So what is the Ictms industry? Well, that's what lesson one is all about. And so just go to, if you don't want to listen to me talk about it on a video, you can go to our website, ict.ms, and click on Best Practices Guide and go to lesson one. So ICTMS, it's not an acronym we made up, it's kind of an acronym we put together. ICT stands for Information and Communications Technology, and it's an acronym that describes throughout the entire planet, except for the United States, the convergence of three previous old tech industries. Number one is the business phone systems. These were known as interconnect businesses. They got invented, in the late 80s after the Carter Phone Act was actually happened in, I think, the late 60s. But anyway, it used to be AT&T was the only phone company, and you could not connect your own equipment to the phone network. But after the Carter phone decision, you could, and that invented the phone systems. Because back in the day, you could only get phone systems from AT&T, and after that, you could get it from all the other phone systems. Comdial, Toshiba, Siemens. There's like a zillion of them out there. When I got into the industry in 1990, there was hundreds. Okay, not so many anymore, but they were known as the interconnect business. And so if you wanted a business phone system for your business, you had to buy a business phone system, and it was a big deal. It cost a lot of money, and it was a big investment, and you usually had them for 7 years, and kind of a scam because you kept having to renew service agreements, and it was just money, 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 and then you were stuck with whatever you bought. Couldn't really trade it in. And the next industry was the business computer systems. These were the guys that you hired to, they brought in your servers, they sold you the servers, and then they charged you to keep them all fixed up. And then finally, the network services industry, or the dial tone phone company industry. So these were the three industries that have been around the phone system, for a long time, and you know computer systems and business phone systems. Now, starting about 10 years ago, they all got mashed up. Nobody could really decide what the new name was. They tried integrated communications, converged communications, or converged this or that. Nothing really stuck, and so when we decided to create this nonprofit association, we just decided to use ICT because it perfectly describes what's going on here. Everyone on the planet already uses that acronym, and hey, it's only three letters, so hey, done deal. We call it ICT. Now we added MS because the domain was available, ict.ms. It was perfect, and managed services is really where it's all about. Because managed services, we've got three examples here. This is where you don't own the equipment, you just rent the functionality. Example number one is a sermon.net. Great little company out of Texas, I think, or I'm not really sure. But anyway, I was searching for a solution for my own church, and because they really need help getting on the internet, during COVID pandemic, so they could stream the pastor's sermon, so people could watch it either live on their phone or their laptop, or later as a on-demand recording. And so I found sermon.net. There's a lot of companies that do it, but they seem to do it really well for just $20 a month for a church. So I'm actually helping my own church get that set up. And instead of buying an internet streaming server or all that stuff as a church, you just have to have $20 a month. You have to have a laptop, a smartphone, and someone who knows how to connect the smartphone to the internet. So I'll be showing my pastor how to do that. And when it works, we'll show you here. Spectratel.com, that's the second company. As a ICTMS professional, I actually use Spectratel quite a bit. They were one of the first companies that not only did they provide internet and VoIP phone systems, but they're one of the very first that also provided manage firewalls and switches. And so IT departments of multi-location companies really love this because if you have a multi-location company, generally the IT department is in one of the locations, and then you've got to service the IT, computers and everything for all these remote locations, and it's a big pain because setting up the basic wide area network where it's all connected over a VPN or virtual private network, that's really basic blocking and tackling. Anybody can really do it if you have the normal certifications. And so SpectraTel kind of took that over for multi-location companies where they wanted their IT department to kind of focus up on the higher end. And so they just kind of farmed the low end VPN and WAN stuff to SpectraTel with the firewalls and the switches. It's great. They just call SpectraTel or put in an order whenever they need to reconfigure a VLAN, virtual local area network on a switch, or they have to reconfigure the VPN on the firewall. And then finally, Viasat. They're an interesting company. They provide satellite internet for people who can't get any other kinds of internet. And so that itself is not really a managed service. But then they came out with something called managed Wi-Fi, which was really interesting because you don't even have to use the Viasat internet service to use the managed Wi-Fi. And the managed Wi-Fi is for coffee shops or any retail location or any business at all that needs to provide managed or just provide basically great Wi-Fi service for people who want it. So if you come into any sort of business and you're expecting to have connection on your smartphone, and maybe it's in a place where it doesn't have great 4G service, Wi-Fi is really needed. And so for a coffee shop to be able to get managed Wi-Fi from a company like Viasat is great because they just, again, credit card, pen, sign the order, and then Viasat provides that service. So those are three examples of managed services in the ICT industry. So to close out this initial lesson, ICTMS is an easy tech industry created from four previously difficult industries. Difficult in that there's a lot of equipment required to be purchased. Okay, anymore, it's all pretty easy. You just need someone to mash it all up. And that's why independent consultants and project managers are required, because very rarely will a business require just a single ICT MS managed services from one provider. Generally, what they're going to want is to get several managed services from several different vendors, and then someone has to mash them all together. It's not terribly complicated, but it can be a little bit tricky. And so what we're going to do at this nonprofit association is we're going to train two different groups of people to do basically the same thing. Group number one is the IT employees that work for a business, and they're tasked with, hey, make this managed services work. Or if a company doesn't have IT people who are tasked with doing it in-house, we'll be teaching people who want to become independent consultants and project managers of the ICTMS so a business can contract with them. And the consultant and project manager kind of goes together because I started in this industry 30 years ago, and all of us were basically sales consultants back in the day. But the problem is once you consulted and sold a service as an independent contract to a business, it's like, drop it off, hey, good luck. And a lot of the business customers were frustrated because they bought it, but then, it worked on day one, but then it didn't keep working. So really, I became a project manager as well as a consultant because I wanted to make sure that my clients got a service that worked. And so if you're providing the service as the sales consultant and then you stick around, to make sure it works, then the client is very happy because they've got your throat to choke whenever it stops working. So becoming a project manager and the independent sales consultant all in one is needed, especially now when all of these managed services have to be kind of mashed together. So being independent or vendor neutral comes in handy because you learn about all the managed services from all the vendors and find out which ones work well together. So that's it for lesson one. What is ICTMS? Hopefully you have a good understanding now. It really is a real industry. It's growing. There's a lot of people like me who are supporting their families, putting their kids through college. But most of us, who got into the industry in the 80s and 90s, we're getting old, getting ready to retire. So we want to train the next generation to do this. Most of us got our training by working for one of these old industries that basically aren't around anymore. And there aren't the old phone companies. I came in through the phone company route that are training the new people fresh out of college, which is where most of us came from. You don't really even need a college degree to do this job. You simply need to be what I call a curious sorter. If you're curious about things and you're good at sorting stuff out, separating one thing from another, have kind of an minimally analytical mind, but most importantly, you're curious and you want to make it work, like you're good at puzzles, then this is a great industry for you. So you don't need a technology degree to be a project manager or an information consultant. You just need to focus on what we're going to be teaching you, and then it doesn't. You're not going to make a lot of money right away, but you will make decent money if you stick with it over the long term, just as I have and all of my peers have over the course of the last 30 years. So thanks for watching, and move along to lesson two as soon as we publish that.